Here is UChicago campus. We have some Jewish students who are walking around and trying to observe everything. And I guess you have very mixed feeling about this. Here are two students in UChicago. Could you introduce a little bit about yourself and your background?
So my name is Eitan Fisher. I am a Jew at the University of Chicago. I'm a first year. I grew up in Hong Kong. I lived there for 14 years, and for the last 5 years, I've lived in Israel, seeing life there at an international school where there are Arabs and Jews and Palestinians and Israelis in my school. A lot of my friends are now in the IDF. A lot of my friends are opposed to the IDF. So I have a really mixed view on this issue.
And how about you?
My name is Elliot. I'm also a first year at the college, and I'm from Connecticut. And yeah, I don't have much more than that for my introduction.
Yeah. So the whole campus is now different compared to yesterday. A lot of students have this encampment. And how do you feel about this? Do you feel physically threatened?
So I think that everyone has the right to express their opinions. Absolutely. There are two sides to this issue. No question about that. I think where I find issue is intimidation, breaking clear school rules without any implications. For example, there's a fence over here that hasn't been taken down at all. They're blocking the walkway right here with a sign that says "Globalize the Intifada," which is direct kill Jews in Israel, basically. There's a flag here on the tree, which according to school rules is clearly not allowed, and nothing's really being done about that. That's the thing that frustrates me the most. Obviously, certain chants and things like this originate in places. I'll give an example. The term "from the river to the sea" originated in Hamas's charter in the 20th century, and that has the intention of saying that we should wipe the entire state of Israel. And I think people here are very ignorant about these things, ignorant about what the word intifada means, ignorant about we will honor our martyrs, which are people that committed the atrocities on October 7th. And freedom of speech is very important to me. People being able to express their beliefs undoubtedly should be able to. I just think that people on a campus, especially with such high academic rigor as the one at University of Chicago, people should be much more aware and really try to unfold their ignorance and understand where their opinions lie or where their biases are.
Yeah, so one of the demands from them is divest, which means that the university would divest from the investment in some weaponry program in Israel. I asked one of the questions to them. They say that they know something about it, but they want more disclosure about the investment. So what do you think about this very specific demand? And do you see any gap between their demand and the thing they're actually doing?
Yeah, to be honest, it's hard for me to answer that question because I'm in pro-Israel, I would say, and I'm in favor of the actions that Israel takes, even though I'm questionable about Israel's government at times. There's no question about that. You can be pro-Israel, but not pro the government necessarily. I'd say the detail of where these investments go are obviously not clear, and they know that as well. The other side, people here know that it's not obvious, and that's why they ask for information first about where a disclosure first before they can decide to do anything. The purpose of the school with his investments is to make money, and I think whatever profitable opportunity they see is not necessarily a problem. Obviously, I don't believe there's a genocide going on in Gaza. I think that Israel is trying to wipe out a terrorist organization in urban warfare, which unfortunately has civilian casualties, which is super upsetting, but necessary in order to wipe out Hamas and bring the hostages home. Yeah, I don't really understand the divest.
Yeah. So from the Chinese vantage point, there are lots of reports and interpretation about what's going on in Gaza, and I guess the mainstream media is talking about this genocidal attempt by Netanyahu government, and we also see that in other Arab world or many other global South countries, they have very hardened view about the Israeli government.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going a little bit too broad, too far, and I personally think that Netanyahu has very stupid policy, in the lead up to this terrorist attack in October 7th. I wonder what's missing in the global news about Israel and about a lot of liberals in Israel. I guess one of the difference I see is that today a lot of liberals in Israel don't like Netanyahu, but they see Biden as the moral center. But in the United States, Biden is seen as co-conspirator with Netanyahu. The difference is huge because people who are involved physically, they think Biden is the middle center.
Yeah.
But people who are away from that part of the world think that Biden is not different from Trump. So how do you interpret this difference, and what is your view on this?
So I think to them, anyone that legitimizes the state of Israel or their sovereign, like the right for Jews to have a home in their eternal homeland, anyone would be against that statement, right? So anybody that is not opposed to that or sends funds in order to fight a terrorist organization is inherently evil to them, despite Biden numerous times like helping with humanitarian aid in Gaza, which I believe is super necessary. I think that, of course, Netanyahu, not just on the left in Israel, but the general population believes that he made some fatal errors, and he came into this war with some foresight about what day one after the war would look like, and as a result, there have been mistakes along the way. Absolutely, I don't think that the solution is just to criticize Biden as a terror supporter, as a Zionist, which he may well be. Which is not a problem in my opinion at all. I'm not really aware, especially I don't know how Trump would have dealt with this situation. Obviously the election is coming up, so Biden is trying to please the majority of people, which is very difficult when this is absolutely split in the middle both ways, and it's hard to determine who sits on what side. As an Israeli, I am fortunate that Biden has made some very positive statements in the past. Turning back on them at times is frustrating. Again, I really don't know how Trump would have dealt with the situation. When he was president, he was very, very pro-Israel with the Abraham Accords, which were very, very successful. And obviously the Saudi relations, which is what is theorized to have caused this war, or for Hamas to attack Israel on October 7th.
So I have a final question about Zionism. Different generations in the U.S. have very different view on Zionism. I guess people who have been through the 60s would see Zionism as a triumphant ideology that actually established the Israeli as a country that survived through all the struggles. And people who lived through the 90s, they see the hope of Oslo Accord and the prospect of two-state solutions. And they have mixed view on this Zionism, seeing it as a way to embolden some hyper-nationalists. And today's young people who have lived through the COVID and now in college, they see Zionism as inseparable from the identity of suppression and settlement. So how do you interpret Zionism? And is there a difference between Zionism and hyper-nationalism in today's world?
So Zionism has existed for over 2,000 years. It's Passover right now, which is a big holiday in Judaism that reflects the Jews leaving Egypt, leaving slavery for 400 years. And this was the nation of Israel's first moment to enter the eternal homeland, which was Judea, which is nowadays modern-day Israel. So this mindset of Jews having this right to their eternal homeland has been present forever. There have continuously been Jews in the land of Israel or Palestine or Babylonia or whatever it was called over the past 2,000 years. There have continuously been Jews there, and it is their eternal homeland. So in the 1890s, when Theodor Herzl decided to coin this term as Zionism, was no different. Jews had been facing pogroms and discrimination in Europe for hundreds and hundreds of years, and coining a term to this had nothing to do with a nationalist idea. It was a moment of Jews need a place to feel safe. Jews need a place to be at home, and Israel was that place. So when you talk about it in relation to nationalism, it's really just the definition that I perceive it, and why it's very confusing to me often when people are able to just throw around the word "kill the Zionists," or there was Zionists off our campus chalked over there a couple weeks ago. It's like, it's just Jews feeling that they have the right to eternal homeland, or anyone feeling like Jews have the right to an eternal homeland, or the right to govern themselves. That's all it means to me.
Yeah, so my final question is on the end game. What would be the ideal end game in Gaza? Is it two-state solution, or is it that some sort of modus operandi would be formed? What is your view on the expectation of, let's say, the moral majority in Israel about this Gazan war?
Yeah.
What will be the end game?
So obviously Hamas, the terrorist organization, needs to be annihilated and wiped off the planet, or at least not have enough power to re-govern Gaza. I think the best solution is for some international parties in the Middle East to help create a government and rebuild Gaza. Obviously it's depressing that it's been destroyed, though necessary by Israel. I think that something along those lines will be the right solution. The only question is, obviously, Palestinians in Gaza have certain perspectives on Israel, that are not very favorable. And the question is, what will prevent another October 7th from happening? And the answer to me is just, if they are given weapons and the opportunity to destruct, we have seen time and time again that Israelis on the border with Gaza are not safe from that. There are still rockets that are fired on a weekly basis from Gaza somehow. I don't know where they're getting the funding for that if everyone is starving. I think some sort of international government forming there, a lot of education that, over the past couple months that the IDF has been in Gaza, they found, Mein Kampf, Hitler's book in schools, and education there from the youngest age is to hate Jews and to hate Israel. And in order to have a sort of peaceful situation, that can't be the reality. Same goes for the other side. There's obviously discrimination that goes on in Israel. So in order to have a long-term peace, there has to be an understanding of both sides. And one side can't just have it all. Yeah.
Okay, maybe a follow-up. Do you think Netanyahu should go?
Absolutely.
And what would be the best time frame if Biden wants to be elected?
Right. So obviously, Netanyahu's decisions are based on the fact that he hasn't announced that after the war he will step down, right? Just as the IDF, Herzl Halevi, the IDF chief of staff, or the head of the IDF, announced right after October 7th that after the war he would step down, meaning that he had no motivation to do anything in favor of trying to get another vote, right? I think Bibi should be doing the same thing so that they know that his actions are not in order for him to get another vote, but him because he wants the best for the state of Israel. If he doesn't do that, obviously he doesn't have a place in the government.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would say you represent the moral center in Israel, I guess. I gain a lot of insights from you, and you would observe everything, but keep safe.
Thank you so much. Thank
you.